No, literally. What in the heavens? Oh my god. Literally. Just leave the house. Hi guys. I'm on the beach today and I want us to attempt our regular Sunday talk for June. So today is going to be more very casual because I'm on the beach. Let me show you guys a little bit. Yeah, there's the heat wave and everybody in Broadstairs and Kent, not just Broadstairs, decided to leave their houses to come and sit down and cool off. So if you see any naked people walking behind me, please forgive them. They did not mean to. Okay, so where were we? Week 3 today. Last week, we spoke about friendships and I like that there was quite a number of views. Week 1, we spoke about house helps, northern house helps, yeah? And this week, I want to talk on young people versus old people. Now, this week, I do not have a little pad with me. I don't have a notepad because I did not intend to do this talk outside here. I was going to do it at home. Then I'm enjoying the place, I'm enjoying the weather, I'm sitting at the beach. There's all these people. I do not want to be in a hurry to go home because I come and I sit here every Sunday, once a month, whenever I'm visiting Broadstairs. Because I come to this church I really like in Broadstairs once a month. So yeah, this week we're going to be talking old people versus young people, Nigerian African setting. What's the beef? What is the disconnect? Why is there always a problem? Why does it seem like old people cannot, go hand in hand with young people without us creating such a big deal about it? Okay, what do you guys think? Okay, so where were we? Old people versus young people. As much as I do not like to use Uncle Paul as a reference, because I have some certain feelings towards him these days from my Bible in a year study, he's still Uncle Paul. I cannot take that away from him. So I'm going to use his words to dear Timothy. 1 Timothy 4 verse 12. What does it say? I'm trying to cover all the people with my body, which is not possible because they would not stop passing behind me, and I want to make my video on the beach. Where were we? 1 Timothy chapter 4 verse 12. 1 Timothy chapter 4 verse 12. Do not let anyone look down on you because you are young. Paul, who said women should not talk in church and their voices should not be heard except through their husbands, was able to say that we shouldn't let anyone look down on us because we're young. And he wasn't talking to the male young people. He was talking to all the young people. I want to assume he was talking to all the young people. Don't let anyone look down on you because you're young. Being young is not a disease. We talk about being young in Africa as though it's a disease. You know how maybe somebody AIDS, so then we have to be ashamed of something. The old people were young once in their lives. They had their times of youthful exuberance. Why does everybody freak out when a young person is just being a young person? Why is it such a big deal? Forgive me because I have to keep pausing. Today's video is not just straight cut because, like I said, I'm on the beach. Where were we? Do not let anyone look down on you because you are young. What is wrong with being young? Exactly. Why is being young such a big deal? Why do young people always have basketballs with old people? I was saying earlier, were the old people not young at some point in their own lives? So, is it a case of they had a headache being young people? People challenged them, they were not allowed to speak, and so they have decided to continue it. Like, okay, if I was not allowed to speak in my own time, how dare you speak in your own time? Do you understand? Like, okay, growing up, you were not allowed to speak to older people, you were not allowed to voice your opinion. It was such a big deal. and we grew up that way. So it just gives me that vibe of generational curses. In this case, it's not a curse, but things that people inherit, not because there's an explanation behind it, just because, you know, just because old people just believe, as they say, what an older person sees standing, a younger person won't see. Even what an older person sees sitting, a younger person won't see even when they are standing or climbing a tree. So we understand that old people have a lot of wisdom, and I agree. I mean, my decam of blessed memory lived up until 107 years. And that 107 said he was telling us that we were misappropriating, that he thought he was a few years older, but we couldn't really say. So based on our own calculations, since we started, trying to track, we gave him 107, we dashed him 107. And I understand that he was such a deeply wise person, yeah? But I don't understand why young people are not heard, why young people cannot just be young. And I also get that it is important to curb bad behaviors from childhood, but I'm not talking about children necessarily. I'm talking about young people, not babies, not people who can't understand good from bad, people who can understand and who can decide, this is what I want to do, this is not what I want to do. So growing up, I was, I'm sure listening to this video, I was already, I was in the black sheep team black sheep team, people who wanted to know why, people who asked questions, people who said, no, I'm not going to do this, or why do we have to do this? Why do you have to behave this way and I don't get to behave this way? Why do you have to say this and I do not get to say this? I was growing up, so I think I was allowed to question things, but it was not accepted in the African setting. In school, in church, at home, I always got in trouble. I always got proper beating because I always challenged, why we had to do this, why we had to say this, why it had to be this way, why do I have to be the one to go? Why aren't you sending this other person who is sitting down? I have done this, I have been busy the whole day. Why does the other person get to sit down and not do anything? And then you now become, the disobedient child, the stubborn youth, what's the word? The delinquent youth, the person who doesn't listen, who doesn't want to be told what to do, who is too arrogant, who is too proud, who is too full of themselves. And over time, your self-esteem keeps getting watered down, keeps being flogged down, because you don't want to get in trouble all the time, you don't want to be flogged all the time, you don't want to be punished all the time. So you begin to be quiet, you begin to keep your opinion to yourself, you begin not to say everything that's on your mind, everything that you think. I like to say everything I think, but of course, as I grew, wisdom has taught me not everything you think you say. But there are some things I want to say, but I can't say because this person is an elder, because this person is older. And I'm just going to give you 2 examples that have played on my mind to, bring this topic to a roundup, to a close this week. Okay, so number 1 would be, in February, 2 things happened. 2 different things happened in 2 different places. One was in Nigeria, one was in the UK. Both involving an older person and a younger person. And both, I think, were solved to the advantage of the older person simply because they were old, in my opinion. Now, nobody should come for me, because this happened in February and a lot of blood was boiling in February. So I decided to wait, let everybody cool down. See, February, March, April, May, June, that's a lot of self-control for 5 months. I didn't say anything, I didn't drag with anybody. Even people who wanted me to give my opinion, I said I was not going to give until I was ready. Now I want to believe that a lot of things have happened and people have gone past this particular event. So it is now my turn to talk about it. Emilocom. I'm sure you guys probably have an idea. Number 1 is the lecturer and the students who had the whole drama. I don't even remember what university it happened. I don't remember what day in particular, but I remember I was in February because that Sunday I was giving a testimony in church and I was the second person, the second event that happened in the UK. So it happened about the same week. So this girl assaulted her lecturer, and the lecturer was supported, of course. Everybody called her names, called her rude, said she had no home training, how dare you tear your lecturer's shirt and things. And I agree 100%. I know how hard it might be for people to hear me, but I want you to hear that I agree. Please hear that I agree that she was wrong. But I have a dissecting opinion. Now this is my opinion. If tables were turned, sorry, if tables were turned, and it was a case of a lecturer being on the corridor making a video for whatever reason, a video call to his wife, a video to another lecturer, a lecturer deciding to do a TikTok video, and a student walks behind him and says, I don't want my video, I don't want myself in your video, sir. Would we have supported her for that? And would we have requested that the lecturer deletes the girl from his phone because he had no right to be making videos on the corridor? And why was she passing him his video anyways? You know, would we have said that? Or would we have said, how dare you come to your lecturer and try to take his phone? Why were you walking behind him in the first place? You know, I see how very easily this thing wouldn't have become a big deal at all if tables were turned. Unfortunately, it happened the other way around. It was the girl who was making TikTok and everybody bashed her. These were the things I picked out of it. Number one, that respect is reciprocal. It's us who sing respect is reciprocal. Respect is reciprocal. Unfortunately, as young people in Africa, in Nigeria, we don't get respect. And we don't even get to ask to be respected. That in itself is disrespect, you know. So respect being reciprocal. The first point, why did this lecturer think that he was allowed to ask this young girl to delete the video from her phone? Is she his child? Was she his daughter? Was she his family friend? Did he know her from somewhere? Why did he think that it was his right to say, delete my face from your video because you're not supposed to be making videos on the school hallway anyways? And of course people said, why was she making videos on the corridor? Is she in school to learn or to do TikTok, silly things? Because afterwards, I know that we all saw videos of those student boys who went to make videos with their lecturers, and everybody was like, this is how life should be. Life shouldn't be so complicated. Rather than the girl have a good relationship with her teachers, she was fighting her teacher, and see these other boys making videos, dance videos with their lecturers in the campus. They were on campus. They were not at home. They were not in church. They were on campus in the lecturer's office making TikTok videos, and people were celebrating them for being respectful and saying that that is how a relationship, working relationship should be with teachers, and not that we're fighting our teachers. But can we see how it was not the same when it was the girl making the TikTok video? Nobody called these lecturers out for making TikTok videos in their offices with students, because we can see how there could be like conflict of interest when it comes to marking, when it comes to anything. We can just say, oh, this student is close to his teacher, that's why he's getting A's, or they made TikTok videos together, we don't trust it. But it was never a problem because everything went well. So the only reason why that became a problem was because it became an altercation, unfortunately. And I do not support that the girl tried to rip her teacher's shirt, but I could understand her anger. Doesn't mean you have to behave that way. I am a lover of fathers. If you know me, you know I am pro fathers. I am pro elders. I love old people. I also believe that old people should love young people. Their being young is not a fight. It's not a crime. We don't have to fight about it all the time. You can be old and I can be young, and we can be happy, because I would eventually become old one day. And imagine me just being angry at all the young people because when I was young, nobody allowed me to be young and ask questions. So you too, young person, you don't get to ask questions, you don't get to question anything. You don't have to be rude, you know. Sometimes we are not even rude in asking these questions, we're just asking why. But the fact that we're challenging is already a problem. So whatever we're saying is not heard, because why should you challenge an elder? The other event, I told you two events here, one in Nigeria, one in the UK. The one in Nigeria, I've just said the lecturer and the students. The one in UK was me. And mine is very funny. In people's opinion, it was not such a big deal. But it was such a big deal for me. And this is what happened. It was my birthday Sunday. So I wanted to give a testimony in church about how faithful God has been the past 29 years and how I was looking forward to stepping into my 30th. It was very personal to me. I'd literally reached out to the deacon in charge of testimonies like a month ahead to say I'd like to give a testimony on this Sunday, because they said to reach out and put your name down. So it was very important to me that I gave that testimony. Now, coming from Cooking Church, we didn't really give testimonies. Nobody asked you to come to the front and give testimonies. But being in Redeem, they say we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the words of our testimony. So when you say it, you confess it, it happens. So I went to give my testimony and I went above time. They were timing us. But in my defense, I had written my testimony down on my phone so I could just read it out. But in the beginning, I got a little bit of distraction, because the more I tried to talk, we were like, oh, you even have an introduction, it was a joke. We were laughing about it. But that took away some of my time, because I literally was 2 sentences away from the end of my testimony when the mic was taken away from my hand by my pastor. Now, my pastor is very dear to me, and this is not me calling him out in any way. This is me giving 2 examples of how young people can just be swept under the rug, if I may. So in this case, for me, it was a very, like I said, what I was saying, my testimony was very personal to me. It was, I was trying to put my voice together, not to be crying, to put myself together. It was very emotional. But the mic was jacked from my hand, and I was left standing on the stage, looking and feeling very stupid. And I thought, in my opinion, again, that I would be excused because I only come on the stage once a year. And I feel like, reading the room is very important, which is something young people tend to do more than older people. Because what I was thinking was, okay, there was a second service, so we had to rush off the first service so the second service should start. However, it didn't matter that what this girl is saying is very sensitive, and maybe would make her feel even worse if we just embarrassed her on the stage in front of everyone collecting the mic. It didn't matter that what she's saying is very, let's just allow her. She's almost, it was very obvious that I was at the end of it. I was rushing the best I could. And like I said, I'd written it down so I could just read it out. But all the interruptions about 1 minute left, 30 seconds, and then the technical boys were offing the mic. Yes, I know they were turning it off as well. So it was frustrating and took away from my time. I was going to keep to time, but there were distractions. And even if I didn't keep to time, why was it okay to just, embarrass me like that, take the mic away from me? Now, like I said, I didn't grow up in Redeem, so I don't know if this is a normal thing. Once your time is up, they take the mic and you have to go sit down. But for me, I almost died. I couldn't walk off the stage. I stood there for a few seconds. I was on ushering duty that day, but after this incident, I couldn't usher anymore. I went and I sat down. I was so wobbly. I was so tense. So like, oh my God. And I hoped that nobody noticed, but obviously that was just in my head. Because after service, a few people walked up to me to say, I hope you didn't take it very personally. It's just that we have a second service, it's pastor, he didn't mean any harm, just excuses. So the fact that they were making excuses, or they felt they needed to make excuses for pastor, made me know that it wasn't only me who felt some type of way. Because I didn't come to you to ask you, what did you think about what happened? You came to me. So you came to me because you felt some type of way about it. Let's be honest. If you didn't feel some type of way, you wouldn't have come to me to say, I hope you didn't take it personally. Don't worry, it's just one of those things, just to trying to make me feel good. But then I also noticed another time, not even another time, that same Sunday, there was another woman who I would call older, not necessarily older, but she's married, she has kids, and she, in my defense, took all the time. She went on and on and on about what she wanted to say, and nobody took the mic from her and embarrassed her like that. And other times I've seen old people take time. and we just wait patiently. We clap for them when they finish. So my point is, was it necessarily because I had taken time, or because I was young and it was not going to be a problem if I was kicked off the stage like that? Now somebody might hear this and say, oh, Nandi, since February you don't have the love of God in your heart. It's not that. I hold no beef. After that, I still see my pastor, I still say hi to him, I still greet him, I still love his wife dearly. She buys my kunu aya and my zobo. So this is nothing personal. This is me just giving you people two different perspectives. And then on the flip side, if I was the young person who was the one managing testimonies, holding the mic for people to give their testimonies, and an older mommy came to give her testimony, do you think I would have been able to just cut her short and say her time is up without people saying, oh, just allow her, she's old, or Nandi, that was unnecessary, or Nandi, that was rude, this is a mommy? Do you understand? It's the biases between old and young. Not necessarily because when the young person does it, this is right, but because when the old person does the exact same thing, it is fine. And I think that it is something we need to stop. I feel like it thwarts our growth as a people, as a nation. Yes, people say, oh, this is part of what makes us Africans. We cannot be Europeans, we cannot be Americans. We believe in respect and all of that. And I believe in respect too. Like I said, I love my father dearly. I loved my Dikam so dearly. It doesn't stop me from questioning when I think something is off, or when I think, why should I do this? It doesn't sit well with me. Because the same way, I would say maybe, Daddy, I need extra pocket money. So when I was in university, he gave me 20k every month. And some months I would finish my 20k and say, Daddy, I need money. And of course he would ask me why. Why do you need more money? Why have you finished the money I gave you? If it doesn't sit well with him, he's allowed to ask why. And I won't say, oh, Daddy, you're being so insensitive. Why would you ask me why my money is finished? Or if my father says, or if I say, Daddy, I want to go out with my friends, and he says, why? Why do you have to go out? Why do you have to go to this place? Why can you not sit at home? It's just normal. It's okay for parents or older people, even people who are not our parents, to ask why. But as young people, it's almost a taboo. It's like forbidden. It's like, no, don't say this. No, don't do this. And if you get my point, without any biases, you would hear what I am saying. What I am saying is that being young is not a disease. It's not a disadvantage. If anything, it is an advantage. And old people were young at some point in their lives too. So basically, the long and short is, can we cut young people a slack? Can we cut young people a slack? Can we stop with all the biases against young people? When a young person says what is on their mind, can we just take what's the word? The substance of what they are saying, and leave the way they've said it, the way they've reacted. In my opinion, I could really, really relate to that young girl, because I could see the frustration. It was just frustration. Everybody was gathering. People were making videos. She got angry. And yes, you can see that she has a temper, because she got physical. I might have gotten angry, to be honest, but the difference is I wouldn't have gotten physical, ever. Whether he was older or younger, but that's the difference between me and her. I wouldn't have jacked anybody or tore their shirt. But I definitely would have said, excuse me, sir, sorry, why do I have to delete you from my phone? I would have asked him. And I do not think that I was going to give him my phone. And I do not think that makes me a bad person. You see, because the problem with this is people now start to say, oh, how would you see husband when you're so rude? To the girl, they said, oh, this one no go see husband. Oh, this one no go do this one. This one no go find life. And people were clamoring for her to be expelled. And my question was, what does her being rude have to do with expulsion? If somebody has assaulted somebody, don't you call the police? If indeed our worry was she has assaulted the man, should we not call the police? If he was my father, I would have called the police. But clamoring that she gets expelled, I think she was in 300 level or something, now felt like a personal vendetta. Like, how dare you speak? How dare you do this? Because you have even dared to challenge your lecturer, you do not deserve to be in university. You see? But like I said, if tables were turned, all the lecturers who have been abusive, who people have reported for, asking for sex for grades, what have we done to them? It was the speed. It was the speed for me, the speed with which she was convicted. Was she called to a panel? Had they actually sat down and looked at the merit of the matter and given the judgment? Or was it just simply, she's young, she dares not?
Like I said, if indeed our problem was that she was physical with the man, then we would have been talking about a police case, calling the police to sort this out. But it felt to me it wasn't really the fact that she assaulted him, but the fact that she thought of challenging it. You know, I won't say this again, but I am not in support of violence. But I'm also not in support of unfair treatment. I believe that young people are human beings. Young people have feelings. Don't go about hurting us. Don't go about embarrassing us. Don't go about creating scenes for us. And then when we react, they say, oh, this person is a bad person. She has no home training. I can't imagine how many people would not like what I am saying in this video. But like I said, I've given you people time to think. I've given you people time to cool off. And I thought that it needed to be said. And I already used the Bible, so I'll tell you people I'm a Bible student. I'm not wayward. But I still believe that just the way we say, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother. Yeah, but that it might be well with you. The Bible, we always stop there, but we don't see the part where the Bible says that parents do not, do not grieve your children, don't offend them, don't push them. We never ever talk about this part in the Bible. It is always, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Children, obey your parents, honor your father and your mother, that it might be well with you. Parents, can you not upset your children? Can you not grieve them? Can you not push them? Can you not embarrass them? Can you not look down on them? So that there's no reaction from them that you don't like, that then turns out to be such a big deal. Shouldn't have been a big deal in the first place if it did not happen. I'm going to wrap up with saying that I believe that young people and old people can coexist in Africa, in the UK, in England, in America, without bad blood, without it being a fight. Mutual respect. I don't see why I keep respecting you as an older person and you do mean things to me and I'm like, I'm just leaving it because you're old. I'm leaving it because you're old. The fact that you're old does it not mean that you should be more sensible, more responsible? If indeed we grow wiser as we get older, what stops the old people from being responsible, emotionally intelligent? Some things would happen, and even as a young person, I'll be like, maybe she was not in a good mood. Maybe she didn't mean to react this way. Let's give her time. But an older person will beef you. I remember this older person I really love, very dear to me. We've been close, and then we had a disagreement because of something, a choice of husband. Because I was seeing this person I wasn't supposed to be seeing. But rather than be angry at me, I feel like I could have gotten love. It could have been, okay, this person is not good for you. I think you should think about it, pray about it, and try to end the relationship. But she got upset with me, made it feel like it was a personal decision towards her, but it had nothing to do with her. But when I think about it, as young people, I'll think about the fact that, okay, there should have been some form of emotional intelligence. Like, did you really have to be angry and not talk to me? And we still don't talk. And so many times I have thought about her and thought maybe I should reach out to her and say I'm sorry. But then I do know that we've had other such disagreements, and I always have to be the one to go back because I'm the young person. And so I asked myself, for how long would we have a disagreement and then I have to go back to say I'm sorry? Sometimes I'm not even sorry. I'm not sorry that I was in this relationship. Yes, it was not good for me, but it wasn't meant to hurt you. So why should I be sorry for being in a relationship that was bad for me? Do you understand? It was bad for me. Okay, eventually ended. It came to an end. But did he really have to take us not talking anymore? Did you ever think of me after this happened to reach out to me and say, oh, Nandi, my darling, how have things been? Did the relationship end? Is it still ongoing? Show some concern. I feel like with older people, it's always a beef. You don't agree with me, we're not friends. You don't think what I'm thinking, we can't be together. We cannot be friends. We can't see eye to eye. But with young people, we try to talk about things. Okay, things didn't work out for us. Okay, things are not the way you want them to be. Okay, we don't have the same principles about these things, but we have to be roommates. You're a night person, I'm a day person, but we have to be roommates. So how can we make it work? But with older people, it's just if it doesn't work for you, if it doesn't work for me, then we can't be friends. Then we can't continue. Then our relationship cannot go on. And I wonder why it has to be a fight. older people? Why does it have to be a fight? Why can't we disagree and talk tomorrow? Why does it have to be such a big deal, such a beef that I have to be panicking, thinking of how to come and appease the gods, how to come and prostrate and be sorry? With my fellow friend or my sister, I would offend you and tomorrow we'll just, sleep on it and wake up. With an older person, because of how afraid you are to even bring up the conversation, sometimes it's not because you're being rude, you're just afraid of their reaction. Then you give it a week becomes 2 weeks, becomes a month, and before you know it, time that shouldn't have been between the issue now comes in, and then it makes it harder to even resolve it. So I guess what I'm saying is young people and old people can coexist, and it doesn't have to be a fight. It doesn't have to be a war zone. And like I said, this month I am just talking about my feelings. You might not agree with me. It doesn't change my feelings. I am not sorry about them. It's like unapologetic. These are things that just are on my mind, and I just need to talk about them because everybody will be fine. Like with the lecturer and the girl, everybody has moved on. Everybody was upset. How dare she tear his shirt? How dare she make TikTok videos? How dare she exist? How dare she... Oh my God. And everybody's fine. Everybody has moved on. Everybody will be okay. Nandi did not want your opinion. Move on. Nandi asked you why. Move on. It doesn't have to be a fight all the time. It doesn't have to be so personal. So I'm hoping that even as we're children of God, we don't just take God's instructions to children, to older people. We also take God's instruction to older people, to their children, or to younger people. Like I said, as I do my Bible in 1 year study, there's a lot of things that Uncle Paul said in the Bible that didn't sit well with me. And I questioned them. And some people were upset with me for questioning, like, how dare you? And sometimes it's the young people, not even just the old people. Sometimes the young people are angry that this young person gets to question old people. Why should you be angry at Uncle Paul? Uncle Paul is the beginning and the end. Uncle Paul is the final say. Uncle Paul is in heaven, seated at whatever side of God, Jesus Christ, he's seated at. We want to believe he's in heaven, witnessing. So why should my questioning Uncle Paul make Uncle Paul less of Uncle Paul? He's still Uncle Paul, he's still Odogu. Do you know what it means to have written all those letters? But that I do not agree with some of the things he said in the letters doesn't mean I am Antichrist. Doesn't mean I don't love God. It doesn't mean I'm even challenging the Bible, because even after not agreeing with some parts of the Bible, I went ahead to continue reading, and there are some other parts I've now loved him for. I loved him with the Ephesians. I'm like, okay, Uncle Paul, okay, you go. I still love you. So yes, we can disagree to agree. That we've had a fight doesn't mean that it has to be forever, a forever beef. I could disagree with Uncle Paul in the letter she wrote to Timothy and still like him in Philippians, still like him in Ephesians, still like him somewhere else. Sometimes he says some things and I'm like, yeah, that's why you're Uncle Paul. It's why we resonate so much with you. It's why we love you. So can people not take things so personally? Can people not make it feel like being young is such a disease that you have to crawl under the sand and not breathe because you've offended an old person? You've offended them, okay. Be sorry and move on. The world will be fine. And so I'm speaking mostly to our millennial and Gen Zs. As we grow, as we have our own kids, hopefully we let our children express themselves and don't see it. Yes, I have said I agree that there's a room for discipline of a child. When they are children, you have to teach them what to say, what not to say. But as they're already young adults, if the only problem is that the opinion doesn't sit well with you, then just take it in, just relax, sit in. Just like I said, everything happened in February, it didn't sit well with me, but I knew that if I spoke about it, both the Nigerian event and my own event in church, people were going to say, oh, he's a pastor, he's a Yoruba daddy, he's an elder, he's my senior colleague, he's a lawyer as well. He's all that of me times 2. How dare you challenge it? So I thought to just give it time and let everybody cool off. And like I already said, this is not me pointing fingers at anybody. This is just me saying, can old people and young people just live in harmony? And can young people not be angry at the other young people who are calling out old people for not being good examples? And when there's a disagreement between a young person and an old person, can it not be such a big deal? Can we just sort it out? Can everybody just be happy? you know, just say, oh, it's one of those things, everybody will be fine, life goes on. I want to stop talking now. Partly because I need to go catch my train at 2:55 back home, and also because I've enjoyed the sun to the best of my ability, and I'm going to edit this video on the train on my way back home because I had to catch the train to come to church. But yeah, you guys, it's been nice talking about these old people versus young people. I'm sure that a lot of people have very different opinions. I just beg that you give me your opinions with love and respect, because I haven't insulted anybody. I have been very nice to people here in this speech, in my talks generally. And at some point, I'm going to talk about Uncle Paul and the letters he wrote. We're going to look at all the letters he wrote, and I'm going to tell you people how I feel about the letters. And I don't care how anybody feels about how I feel about Uncle Paul, because I think you should leave that to me and the Holy Spirit to sort out. See you guys next week. Be good. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and your mother. Also, children, do not let anybody look down on you because you are young. And parents, do not offend your children. Don't grieve them, don't push them, and everybody will be fine. And when we say parents, we mean both parents and non-biological parents, just elders. Just do what elders should be. You know, be respectful and show love, but you know, everybody can be fine without anybody being the enemy. Young people don't have to be the enemy, old people don't have to be the enemy. I'll see you guys next week. And yeah, much love to you. Mwah. Bye now. Oh my god, the water has moved from there all the way. It's making my way on my legs. If the water comes back, I'll be in trouble because I can't swim.